Hey everybody, how are we? I'm going to zip into chapter 3 real quick. It's been a while. I'm not able to get these out as fast as I can. I do apologize. Chapter 3, where have you called home? Talking about your childhood homes. I got a little secret for you. This is a design secret. Your biggest design influence, I don't care who you are, okay? Your biggest design influence is the house you grew up in and your parents. Okay, you could be someone who has a really extraordinary design career and a lot of influence, but how you grew up and sort of the colors and textures and feels and sensibilities of the homes that you grew up in are really dominant, both in our memory banks, and we're not even conscious of it. A lot of times we're not even conscious of sort of affinities or preferences or dislikes. A lot of times you might just really not like something. It's probably rooted in childhood memories, and memories that not like you walked into a purple room and thought, when you were 5, but maybe in that purple room, like something not great happened or something. There's lots of association with color and texture and feel. So please pay attention. Please look at this. Take a little bit of time to just think through the house you grew up. Maybe you're fortunate enough to either live near it or even live in it. I have a lot of friends actually that live in the house where they grew up, where they purchased it from their parents or they took it on from their parents, and now they're making it their own, so it'll be easier for you. But to think about the colors and textures that were surrounding you when you were growing up. And actually, even if you have real close access to the house that you grew up in, I think it's important to go into a memory bank, to do it sort of in the abstract, to really take a look, sort of closing your eyes and seeing in your mind what felt good, what things were you used to. In your childhood mind's eye, it's probably very different than it really was, but it's still worth giving credence to sort of the way you as a child lived and interpreted, saw that house, okay? What are the things you had good vibes? What are the things that had good vibes? What are the things you have positive memories about? I'm going to read from the book now in chapter 3 on page 13. I say, many people regard the homes they grew up in as dated or old-fashioned. If you generally had a positive experience growing up and you remember your home as a nurturing space where you felt love, include a sensibility from this first home in your current one. The narrative you are telling in your home starts way back when with your childhood. The narrative you are telling in your home starts way back when with your childhood. There is more, I can't edit. You know that, right? Right. There is more than nostalgic charm in having things from your early years in your current home. Connections to childhood feel good and connect us to our youth. So even if for those of us that have had a hard time or had some traumas, it's still worth looking back at the homes. It's still, the emotions are what sort of plant those memories about color and texture and space into our minds. So sometimes the emotions are not good. I still think it's worth taking a look back. Even if you're like, I just want the opposite. I want the opposite of what I was raised with. I want the opposite of what it looked and felt like as a child. Still, I think, look about, what exactly was it about? What didn't you like? There's a very big tendency, and I feel like this is a new concept where now we say that anything that's not open plan and anything that sort of has this kind of feel of like the 1970s or before or 1980s or before is horribly dated and horribly wrong. It got incredibly sunny overnight. I don't know, Lord, are you trying to like honor what I'm saying? Or look at me, look how I'm lit now. I'm almost on fire. Sorry, not editing it. You know me. Anyway, wait guys, the childhood home, think about it. If you were fortunate enough, the childhood vacation home, if you're fortunate enough, the childhood grandparents' home, the aunt and uncle home, the homes of relatives, the homes of friends. My friend Christina's house is very, very crystal clear in my mind. I spent a lot of time there. I could recreate her mom's pantry if I had to. It's so clear cut in my memory because I spent a lot of my teenage years ravaging it. Sorry, Mrs. Bozarth. But think back about those memories and think back about the things that you liked. I can remember, actually, Mrs. Bozarth had this sitting room with a real sort of feminine feel. And we spent a lot of time in there it was like a more of a formal space. And I can remember a lot of pinks and greens. And I just liked it. I liked the art on the wall. All of the things from childhood really do seep in and then affect our sort of consumer choices as adults. To do this exercise and to say like what you liked and what you didn't like and what worked, you have to turn off what 2020 would say. Like 2020 might say, oh, you can't have this, you can't have pink, you can't have red, you can't have this, you can't have the small, whatever. Just turn that off for a second. We're not going to pay a lot of attention to what 2020 says. We're going to pay attention to what as a child felt good and didn't feel good, etc. So take out a piece of paper. Video's already going long. I have 5 exercises on here. I will post the exercises, but in my opinion, what I would suggest was to just write down like the address, so my childhood's address, I just write it and write plus sign, things I liked, things that felt good, negative sign, things that didn't feel good. Things I didn't like looking at, negative, things I did like looking at, plus. Some of the things you may not even remember right away. So as you know, the room I'm sitting right now is our homework room, but it used to be a formal living room. It was going to be like our adult formal lounge space until we realized we really don't have a need for that. We have a much greater need for a homework room. So I painted it navy, and I have pink accents. If you can see there in that little corner, there's a little bit of hot pink. Pink accents? So my dad came to visit and he said, look at this wallpaper. Do you remember this wallpaper? And it was wallpaper that my parents had had used in my house growing up, and they have since gotten rid of it. But there was a chapter when I was in high school where they had a navy blue wallpaper with pink flowers, large pink flowers. And I'm sure at the time I was like, didn't care, didn't notice, wasn't interested, but it seeped into my brain and I recorded it and liked it. And that color scheme is still lovely to me, with gold in there too. So anyway, guys, I'm telling you, you may in the moment say, I don't like what my parents had, but it's worth looking back. I guarantee you can find dotted lines to all kinds of things in your house now to the house you grew up in. So take a close look, piece of paper, plus sign, minus sign, how you grew up. Next week, we'll be moving on. Next week, I hope it's not next week, but it might be. Next time, it takes me a long time to get to these. What are your roots? Chapter 4, that's what we're gonna talk about next time. As always, if you're home, if you have questions about DIY projects at your house, or this process, or the book, or surviving quarantine, or anything like that, or how long we have to do a hiatus from buying, please DM me or let me know. I'd love for this to be collaborative, but I'm not exactly sure how to do that. So please start a dialogue, let me know, ask me questions, reach out, #lonely.